Yeah, for sure. So I'm Joel, and I'm from Canada. Rui, I'll let him introduce himself.
Eu sou o Rui, moro em Lisboa, tenho 37 anos e nasci em Lisboa, cresci em Lisboa, trabalho e moro em Lisboa e, bem, adoro português. Sempre gostei, apesar de não ser a minha área de formação, mas gosto muito de português, da língua portuguesa. So I am Rui, I'm 37 years old, I'm Portuguese, born and raised in Lisbon. I love the Portuguese language.
And together we have a site, practiceportuguese.com.
Exactly, a project that started just as a podcast,
Yeah.
and it turned into something bigger.
Absolutely.
I
knew that's what you said. You didn't have to translate that for me.
Sure. Wasn't for you, it was for the others.
Oh, of course, yes, absolutely. Everyone else, I hope, was listening attentively. Yeah, so Rui and Joel here from Practice Portuguese on the Good Morning Portugal radio show. Thanks for joining us, guys. It's really kind of you to take some time out and be with us. And,
thanks, Carl.
Yeah, and, to dip straight into the lingo there. Now, the big thing that people make such a fuss about is, Portuguese is such a hard language. Do you get that a lot?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I say that myself as well. And whenever I talk to any other estrangeiros, it's one of the first things that everybody usually touches on is that at first, since it's, a romantic language, a romance language, it seems like it's going to be easy. But then as soon as you start digging into some of the comprehension and pronunciation, that's where you realize that there's a whole other world out there.
Especially, with all the nuances in the vowels. Mm-hmm. It makes it really hard to understand the oral part, and it's really hard going from writing to hearing and understanding. I think that's the big challenge.
Yes.
Because in terms of grammar, it's very similar to French, I would say. But then in terms of understanding, it's a challenge.
Yeah.
It's very interesting you should say that because, yes, I think I'm quite a good mimic. So in many ways, I've thought to myself, it seems fairly straightforward, really. But then something as simple as a mer de lait or a chá de menta, you think, I've nailed that. That's like half milk, or that's like a mint tea. And you're standing there in a cafe and people are looking at you like, what on earth is he saying? And to my own mind, it can't be that different. There aren't that many ways of saying chá de menta or mer de lait. But people, it's really precise and exacting, isn't it, in the pronunciation? This is where the difficulty might be then.
Because when you have so many different E's or when you have so many different A's, one subtle difference, the way you pronounce it, for us just throws us off.
Yeah, because really there's vowel sounds in Portuguese that some of them are similar in English, but there's also a lot that we don't have in English.
Okay.
So it makes it hard for us to even hear the differences, because if we were to say, I don't know.
País.
Yeah. Or
that's
any
a good example, or avô in the vó.
Yeah.
So I have people telling me they don't hear the difference, when for us, the difference is so clear.
Yeah.
So, and I think that happens with a lot of words in Portuguese, while in other languages it might happen in some sounds, but not a lot of them. Mm-hmm. In Portuguese, it happens a lot, this difference in sounds.
Yes. And you can't guess it, can you? Because, you look at the map and you see Estoril. And in fact, it's Estoril, isn't it, to locals, it would appear.
Estoril?
Estoril.
Or neither of the ones I've just...
Yeah, Estoril.
Okay.
And it's also, I also tell Joel that even when he gets all the sounds right, the cadence, way he puts the stress while he's saying a sentence, it's never the way we would say the sentence. The inflections, and when our tone goes up or down, it's so different from English speakers, I guess.
Incredible. So it's a bit of a pesadilla.
Yeah.
See what I did there?
A pesadelo?
Oh, pesadelo, that's even better. God knows what I said. I must have said it's something like an inflatable bicycle, when in fact I meant it's a nightmare. Okay, so it's in the pronunciation and obviously the practice. And is that why you're called Practice Portuguese? Because with these difficulties and challenges, it's all about sticking your neck out, having a go and practicing.
Yeah, well, I think, well, first the name, not, what do we call that? An alliteration when there's two consonants in a row. It wasn't just a catchy name, but when of course, we started out as just a podcast. So the whole idea was that it would be supplementing a course or some other kind of, a tutor, sessions with a tutor. The whole idea was that we would supplement that with a way for people to practice listening, get used to the, hearing the sounds of the language, because just learning vocabulary and working in classes or with a tutor, it's not really enough to get a handle on the really difficult pronunciation. So the whole idea is that it's practicing. It's not necessarily replacing, like learning all the grammar in a very systematic way. It's just we wanted to provide ways for people to practice, because I found that when I finished I guess it was the B1 class that I took when I got to Portugal, I finished the textbooks and I finished my classes, but I still wasn't able to turn on the TV or turn on the radio and understand everything. So I needed like a bridge to kind of practice hearing the sounds before I would be able to get a little bit more comfortable with just, speaking with natives or hearing natives speak.
Sure, incredible. And when did you start practice Portuguese?
Oh, geez, I think it was 2013.
Okay.
Maybe.
The project was born 6 years ago.
Right. Yeah, just about 6 years ago.
Like our first podcast about taking pictures in a restaurant. Remember that? Wow, it was a long time ago.
Well, and you were so on trend, taking pictures of food 5 years ago. I guess that was pretty on point there.
Yeah, there was a huge thing, like why people can't stop taking pictures of their food, and that seemed like a very interesting topic then.
Yeah, so I'm looking at it. Looks like our first episode was launched February 3rd, 2013.
Incredible.
So it's very different then.
We also started following what our listeners were telling us that they wish to hear, so we started like following their advices, which was good.
Yeah, and you are a disruptive force, aren't you, in the language space, if you like, because I guess, before the internet, you'd have to get in the classroom, wouldn't you, and you have to be in a kind of school situation. The internet has brought so many gifts that you obviously have jumped right on and embraced full scale.
Yeah, and just even the format of podcasting, it gives us not only a way to reach, a really niche market like this, because as far as the world market goes, European Portuguese, specifically European, is pretty niche. It's about as niche as you could get.
I don't know if I should tell this story, but it's all possible. It's all possible because Joel, the idea was to present this project to his Portuguese teachers.
Oh, yeah.
He was taking a Portuguese course at the university, and he introduced the idea of making something online. Since they had all the content already, they had books, and he would help them with the website.
Online lessons and that kind of thing. But then they ended up backing out. We ended up just doing it with Rui and I, and I think that gave us sort of a lot of freedom to come at it from a totally different angle than what a teacher would come at it. It was sort of me being able to create what I would have wanted as or what I wanted as a Portuguese learner, mixed with Rui's native perspective.
Yeah, superb. And not only have you got this technological basis for what you're doing, but there's something about Portugal at the moment, that Portugal it's been decided that it's the friendliest country in the world. People want to come here, people want to come to Lisbon. What you're doing is just right there, isn't it? What people want right now.
Oh yeah, tourism is exploding right now.
It wasn't that big when we started, but in these last, I would say, exactly 5 years, Portugal has been on everyone's mouth.
Yeah, and it's been a hot spot because of Brexit. We have a lot of people who are retiring in Algarve or different areas of Portugal and are kind of not fleeing their country, but looking for another alternative, let's say.
No, they might well be fleeing the country, it's true.
I got to be careful because
Have you done a Brexit special yet?
Oh, no, but we should.
I think so, yeah. That would be quite an interesting one.
It's a country that it's easy to like
Oh, without a doubt. This is a wonderful, beautiful country. Thank you, Rui, for making that possible. You could take all the praise and credit for the national or the international love of Portugal right now. I guess it wouldn't be right for us to not touch on a little bit more live language action, and perhaps maybe talk to people a little bit about the things they can do. So we've got this idea, haven't we, which you say is true. It's a difficult language. The idea is to practice, hence practice Portuguese. And you guys, your podcasts are there. Actually, we should just say what the website is so people can go there if you want to do that.
practiceportuguese.com.
Oh, easy, fine, that's it, perfect. So people have got that tool, they've got all the resources. What else should they be doing as a 1, 2, 3? Obviously, step number 1 is sign up for Practice Portuguese, practiceportuguese.com. What are the other 2 steps or more?
Yeah, we definitely appreciate that. I think, the number 1 thing that they say to get better at a language is to date somebody who speaks that language. That's one of the cliches, isn't it? But assuming that's not an option.
Yeah, I'll be in so much trouble if I do that. But yes, that's a good idea.
Yeah, or if you have family or friends, if there's any way that you can get yourself around native speakers, then even if you don't feel like you're quite at the level where you're able to start speaking, the earlier that you can get speaking the language, even at a really basic level, the more that you're going to start creating these connections in your brain and, starting to not only practice what you've been learning, but also practice the skill of doing some of those mental gymnastics you have to do when you don't know a word.
Great advice.
So it's one of those. See, it's kind of like you have 2 skills. One is, of course, the vocabulary, the grammar, all of this stuff about learning the language. But then you have just getting over the stage fright of speaking to somebody and using all of that language that you've learned.
I would advise people to use as many Portuguese subtitles as they can, even when they're watching their favorite show, soap opera. I mean, now you can put any language subtitles, use Portuguese. I mean, as a kid growing up in Portugal, I know that we are more exposed to English because we don't dub anything on TV.
Yeah.
So I would always hear English, but I would read Portuguese, and that's how I got familiar with the language. So I would advise people to do the same or the reverse, hearing their native language shows, but use Portuguese subtitles.
Very good. So immersion is very important. Anything else? Is there a 3rd step?
Yeah, book a trip.
Okay.
I think that's one of the biggest motivations that you can have is whether you're planning to stay in Portugal for years or months or weeks. I think it's a real it gives you a deadline to get through the course that you're working with or get through a bunch of our podcasts. It just gives you a way to give yourself a little kick that you might not otherwise have if you just have an unlimited deadline. So any way that you can create a false sense of urgency.
Pressure. That's a really good idea. And I'm a little late in that curve. And from what you say, it sounds like your market is truly global. You're not just dealing with people who find themselves floundering in Portugal. There are people who are preparing and a big amount of your customers by the sound of it.
Absolutely. Sometimes it's even years in advance that people are planning to either retire here. That's the other thing, is that we get to talk to members who are of literally all ages that you can imagine. Sometimes people are signing up for their kids because they want their kids to learn the language after, having grown up in perhaps North America.
And we definitely reached more people after we launched the Learning Studio platform, the course for beginners.
Oh, yeah.
Because now we reach a lot of people that are just starting out, the very basics.
And then we've got people who are, retirement age who, so it's like the ages and the goals and the timelines, it's always different. It's really hard to find a pattern of a specific market because it's pretty varied.
But it sounds like you're doing something right. And I thank you so much for joining us on the Good Morning Portugal radio show. I hope you'll be back and we can share some of your resources. Perhaps a sign off then with a little bit of Portuguese on saying goodbye or Eurovision or the royal wedding or whatever.
Eurovisão.
Whatever Eurovisão. I love that.
Sim, eu espero que votem em Portugal. Vou fazer publicidade. Bem, não, vão votar em Inglaterra, não é?
Pois.
Mas obrigado por nos terem convidado e espero que gostem do nosso projeto, dos nossos episódios do podcast, e esperamos voltar para partilhar algum do nosso conteúdo convosco. Seria uma honra para nós.
E para conversar mais com o
Sim,
Carl.
para conversar contigo um pouco mais. Foste muito simpático em receber-nos. Obrigado.
Wow. Now, that was a lot more than nil point for Inglaterra, wasn't it? Which is probably what's going to happen. But by the time we share this, I think we will know the result. But so what did you say there, guys?
Rui said thanks for, I can't remember now, thanks for having us.
Yeah, first I said please vote in Portugal for the Portuguese song at Eurovision if you don't want to vote for the English one. And then I said that we were very honored to be in your podcast, and we would hope to return and share some of our content and to talk a little bit more with you. You were really nice inviting us.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you so much. Okay. Lovely to speak to you.
Adeus, obrigado.
Adeus,
até
obrigado.
A próxima.
Muito obrigado. Muito prazer.
Muito prazer. Eu também. Obrigado.
Tchau.
Tchau.
Tchau.